Now for some good news about a brand new virus that has just been made in China. We're not going to have to worry about cures for this new virus because evidently it will kill all of us. Much like creating a deadlier coronavirus at the Wuhan lab to make COVID-19, the Daily Mail reports Chinese scientists infected what they call humanized mice with a new coronavirus that affects the brain and boasts a kill rate of 100%. Professor Francis Ballox, an infectious disease expert based at University College London, wrote on Twitter, "It's a terrible study, scientifically pointless. I can see nothing of vague interest that could be learned from force-feeding a weird breed of humanized mice with random virus. Conversely, I could see how such stuff might go wrong." You think? Joining me now, former Assistant Secretary for Health and Human Services, Dr. Brett Giroir. Good to see you, sir, as always. We had a doctor on earlier, a different program, who said, well, if this study is well done, well controlled, we could learn a lot from a safe lab. And I thought to myself, have people just not understood what the Chinese are doing? Did we not learn after COVID?
Well, thank you for having me on. I think this study is a potential nightmare scenario. And I think it's sort of the equivalent of the If I Did It book for what China did during COVID. They harvested viruses from a pangolin. For COVID, they harvested it from a bat. But in this study, they just didn't look at that virus. They put it in test tubes and allowed it to mutate. And then they tested the viruses, and lo and behold, the virus out of the pangolin didn't hurt anyone. Didn't hurt a humanized mice, but now their mutated virus killed 100% and it went to the brain. And that's just the start. They're boasting about this, and you know where this came from? It came from the People's Liberation Army Medical Center. Now, isn't that a coincidence that it came from there? The final thing that really concerns me is they tell us, and this is putting it in our face, they're telling us that they know why it's lethal, because there's two changes in the spike protein, two amino acid changes, but they don't tell us what it is. They're absolutely hiding that, so we can't understand this virus and start making vaccines or countermeasures to it. And by the way, there's no BSL-4 laboratory in either of the institutions that published this study, so they're doing it in unsafe laboratory conditions. I really feel, and I tweeted this, that President Biden needs to demand the sequence of this virus tomorrow from President Xi. It needs to be given to our researchers so we can make sure that we have adequate vaccines and countermeasures, because this could be a nightmare scenario.
Well, in other news, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you like the play, I guess, other than that? But look, I mean, you make a great point. They don't have the labs, and we know that in terms of the safety standards that you would need to look at these kinds of viruses and do this. It makes me think, though, about what happened during COVID. And, you know, the ... here is we still don't know about so much of COVID. There's been no Blue Ribbon Commission. We know Dr. Fauci, and he just admitted that basically they made up 6 feet of social distancing. And I think to myself, because you were there, of all of the things that were done with the public that broke our trust when it came with the government, when it came from between government and health officials, whether it be if you get the vaccine, you can't get COVID, don't wear a mask, then wear a mask, on and on and on and on. All the fights about masks in schools and on planes, all of it now might actually be really serious if you go from something that had a 0.1% kill rate, which was COVID-19, you know, done by the Chinese, to something with a 100% kill rate.
Well, you're right, and I don't want to totally alarm your viewers, because just because it kills 100% of mice doesn't mean it's going to kill 100% of people or even 1% of people. That's right. They're meant to simulate what humans happen. So this is not necessarily, you know, that kind of doom, but it is extraordinarily concerning. And I'm telling you, they are telling us exactly what they did with COVID, as we suspected. No, they didn't purposely genetically engineer, you know, make something happen, but they took the COVID virus out of bats. This is what I believe. They put it in test tubes, allowed it to mutate, then picked the ones that was the most dangerous.
I hate to do this to you. I got to go, but I think you said it best. The If I Did It book from the beginning. Thank you. We appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.